Hey everyone, this is Steven.
And this is Scooby. Welcome to yet another episode of The Feedback, where Steven and I, two dudes who enjoy music greatly, share each other some tunes and talk about them to, I was going to say to great effect. I don't know how accurate that is. We talk about the
I
song
mean,
and then we kind of veer off on those side lanes wherever our ADHD riddled brains take us.
yeah, we definitely get to at length, but at length at what?
Yes, this is true.
Welcome back, as was stated before, and thank you for that introduction. We got a song today. It actually, when we were listening to our last episode, I guess is the best way to say it, last recording, because we're going to go chronologically, I think, unless there's a few. Anywho, we were talking about how those bands are the only two whalecore bands, and they were on tour together. When we were talking about, oh, now I'm brown farting. Who are we again?
Gojira and Mastodon.
Yes. So I was laughing about that because it made me chuckle a little bit thinking about the oceanic theme. But a rapper that I like to listen to named Action Bronson, who we're going to listen to today, had an album came out in 2020 called Only for Dolphins. And this is the first track off that Only for Dolphins album called Capoeira.
Nailed it.
Uh, Thanks. I was actually really nervous about butchering it, but I got there. I hope I can do it again later on. Um, anyway, so this is produced by Action Bronson himself, actually, which is I want to say the first album that he released. I should probably look into that a little bit better before I say it, but I know that he's done some work with other producers before. But this song and this album he produced himself, and he has a feature on here of Young Mexico, and Young Mexico actually has a an instrument that is featured. I don't want to say anything else right now because it'll reveal itself later. Um, so do you know Action Bronson or this album or the song?
I know of Action Bronson a little bit. I think I mentioned this to you last recording, but off recording. The only reason I know Action Bronson is because I am a professional wrestling fan, and Action Bronson does the entrance music for a wrestler named Hook in AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And he actually, I can't remember what year it was. It must have been a couple of years ago at this point, but he was at some of those events and he got into the ring and got involved. I don't know if he actually had an entire match. He might have, but that is really my only exposure to Action Bronson.
Okay. I feel like I do remember having a little bit of this conversation about some exposure to him like that and his relevance to AEW, and I do remember seeing sometimes. So he had a show also called "Fuck That's Delicious."
Okay.
He is actually Action Bronson was a chef for a very long time. Maybe not chef, but a cook. I'll say. I don't want to. I don't know how far he went into the culinary prowess, but I do know that at some point around 2010-ish, everyone started getting the title chef. So who knows? Anyway, he was someone that's done a lot of different things, and he did a lot of food cooking for a long period of time before he kind of broke into doing more rapping and making it his main thing and kind of getting somewhere with it. And he had a show on, I think it was FX. I could be wrong on the station, but its titled was "Fuck That's Delicious." He would go around to small restaurants in the area and just try food, and he had a really good palate. And being that he's from, I didn't mention this before, but he's from Flushing, Queens, which is New York City, and being that that's where he's from, it's a melting pot of food and cultures and different things like that. Something he says in a few raps of his is he mentions how many different languages he can speak. I don't think that's at all a lie. He's got lots of exposure from just cooking different kind of food and eating different kinds of food from his background and then all of his friends' backgrounds because of just where he grew up and what he was around all the time. And I'm not familiar specifically with the Flushing, Queens area, but there was a time where my dad and I were walking around down different cities, and there comes a point where like each block kind of almost starts to repeat itself because of how busy it all is. But like one block will have this little deli where you can walk in, and it has all this like a buffet of food of just all these crazy, amazing, delicious looking and smelling foods. So like I can imagine how great that lunchtime rush would be for me. But anywho, we're already off topic. We're talking about the intro here, so let's reel it back in hard here and get back to Action Bronson and just kind of his prowess. He does a lot, and he has a lot of fun with his songs too. So I hope you hear that. And since I did send the lyrics your way, look at a couple of them. He has a lot of good one-liners, especially in this. That's something that's kind of he'll have a lot of. But yeah. Anything else that you might know about him or you're excited about?
No, I'm ready to just jump on in.
All right, cool. So without any further to do, here is Action Bronson with Capoeira.
Call Mexico, I need a saxophone solo. Yeah. Turn me up a little, daddy. I can't hear myself, lordy. Baklava. Charming, you know it's him. Prince Charming. Only for Dolphins, once again. Congratulations, they just casted Baklava and Rambo. Heard how your boy was off the handles, and that was just a sample. All black Cherokee, cause I can't fit this body in the Lambo. All this marble got me feeling like a Roman. Pacific Ocean to put my toes in. Smoking green slime like Nickelodeon. All white standing at the podium, you know it's him. I throw dice with the Tommy John elbow. Next week, I'll probably Parmesan the sailboat. Drive the Hummer on the railroad. My drugs are waiting for me in the mailroom. Yeah. Power bomb him through the dinner table. It sound like a moose hit a Winnebago. Shit. I'm back. I'm a man amongst boys. Your Jeep come with the booster seat. Shooting puppy water all over your sheets. I'm jumping in jacuzzi 12 feet deep with 12 freaks. Safe to say my life's on fleek. No smoking mirrors. Just models sniffing coke off mirrors. Talking about the Domino's deliver. Bitches throw up in the jar and hide it in the closet. Well, that shit ain't happening at my crib. Gotta finish dinner if you want dessert. And if you wanna fuck Ernie, you gotta fuck Bert. I'm in a Beamer bumping Gerald Levert. You heard? You heard? Yeah. Only for Dolphin, baby. Told you. Bronco. El Bronco.
Alright, so while you get your thoughts together, I wanted to say two quick things. Number one, I remembered why I was talking about his show. It's because I feel like I remember seeing him do something with that, with AEW on his show. I feel like he talked about it a little bit. So I feel like he did like a interference with the match kind of a thing.
Probably. That
And I thought,
sounds right.
and I thought that was kind of funny. And then also, I just wanted to also ask if you noticed the instrument there.
Yes, I did, and I have things to say about that. So
Perfect. Well then, go right ahead. First thoughts, impressions, anything that you want to start off with.
well, I actually had no idea. Like, all I knew about Action Bronson is that he's a rapper, and when people talk about rappers, they don't often talk about there's so many different styles of beats for rappers to rap over. It's something that I've kind of been educating myself on a little bit more recently. People know about the standard things that were extremely popular, like the West Coast G-Funk beats. Right now, what's pretty popular is drill beats, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's just kind of where things have trended towards. Boom bap, which was like probably late 90s, early 2000s East Coast style stuff. Or no, earlier than that, early 90s.
But it's similar to what we listened to the other day
Yeah,
because of the way that they're making that new stuff. But yeah, exactly. Correct.
yeah. So I wasn't really aware of what I was going to hear jumping into this. And this has, I don't know if I want to call it jazzy per se. Like, it has jazz instrumentation. There's a lot of brass and all of that. But the style itself isn't really jazzy. It's more of that hip hop style still, just with different instrumentation. The saxophone, however, saxophone is my personal favorite instrument. I know how to play guitar, I know how to play bass. I have always wanted to learn to play the saxophone, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, Steven, but I have a playlist on Spotify that is called Unexpected Sax. And
I like that.
that is just an album, or not an album, but a playlist that whenever I hear a song that has saxophone, where I'm like, where did that come from? It gets added to the playlist. This song will be going on that playlist. And it's not like, oh, if you're going to be listening to jazz or ska, you're going to expect a saxophone. So none of that's going to be on there. But if you're listening to, say, a metal track or a metalcore track, or here, for example, a hip-hop track, and all of a sudden a saxophone appears, yeah,
Yeah.
that's very unexpected, and it's always a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I feel with that being the transition point for me right now is the caveat, right? Anyway, was that he has a lot of songs that kind of have that kind of flow to them, that beat. There's actually another song, I don't think it's on this album. I think it's on the last one, where he's calling for a call service. Now I want to say like he heard it once before, but I honestly, who knows? Because he calls this call service and it's on speakerphone while he's waiting for it to get through, and it just has like that elevator music that goes on in the background for like the hold music, and he just starts rapping over it because he thinks he likes it so much, and it kind of has the same kind of feeling to this, where it's just like some kind of funk or soul kind of jazzy, like you said before. It's kind of hard to position it completely, but that's where his style is. A lot of his underbeats will be that, which is a lot of fun for me because yeah, I think it's fun hearing those and trying to find the original samples, or if I've heard the song before. And I actually found the sample for this one just because I was curious, and I contemplated playing it for us today too, but it's like a 3.5 minute song, but it samples from the very first beginning. Actually, I'm gonna find something else I want to talk about really quickly, and then I'm gonna try to find it again, and then maybe we can play it, or we can play it later on for those guys. We'll give them like a little 10-second break here, and they can hear the opening. This was a really good song, and like the sample that they took from the other song is a completely different sound altogether. But it's like that they kind of keep playing it over and over again, which is like, it's funny to think that they took a 10-second intro and kind of expanded on that whole thing to make this whole song. And I think that's what's a lot of fun for me with hip hop in general, especially this kind.
Yeah, I mean, I am all for people producing their own beats, but I do find sampling to be a very interesting thing because, like you said, taking a 10-second snippet of a track and turning it into an entire song, that's impressive. And some of my favorite artists, not even in the hip hop realm, do that though. Like Daft Punk. Daft Punk, especially on Discovery, huge amounts of samples. One of my favorite albums is by a group called the Avalanches. I can't remember what the album was called, their first album. But the genre is actually called Plunderphonics because every single thing on that album, I think except for some of the vocals, it's all samples that they just mix and match and put together. It also took them a very, very, very long time to make that album.
That's actually really funny, and that's crazy to know that they took that much effort into trying to make that happen, which is cool too, because like there's a lot of effort going into try to get that many different samples to make a whole thing, right?
Yeah. And just because it was going to bother me if I didn't figure it out, the album is called Since I Left You. But
Okay,
great album. Highly recommend.
I'll have to check that out for sure. I think I found the song. I'm gonna see really quickly if this sounds right. Well, oh, love those ads. So there's the first 18 seconds of that song. You can see there right where they took that sample from, and then how quickly it changes into something very different, right?
Yeah, I gotta say though, if I was on hold and that came on, I'd be pretty stoked.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm really weird though, and some of the music I listen to, like when I'm at work, I'll have my phone playing music sometimes, and my coworkers will be like, "Are you listening to elevator music?" I'm like, "No, just because something has like horns doesn't make it elevator music, for God's sake."
They just don't know better. Uncultured swine.
Seriously.
Just kidding. Promise. But yeah, so I don't know if you caught any of those lyrics too. One of the things that I think is funny is that the person that is playing the saxophone is Young Mexico, Mexico, and in the first line of the song, Bronson just goes, "Call Mexico, I need a saxophone solo."
Yep.
Just, having that fun already, which is fun to hear immediately in the song, because you hear his persona, and like he likes to just have a good time, make cute little jabs at people, like, a little ribbing, nothing mad. It's also funny too is he says, "Yeah, turn me up a little, daddy." Like, he's talking to himself. We already know he produced it himself. So I mean, maybe there's someone in the studio that's kind of touching the volumes while he's getting himself in the booth. But overall, he's probably talking to himself there. And then, if you haven't listened to him before, he does call himself Baklava, and then the Young Prince and a few other things too. Which is why he said, it's him, and there's the ad-lib in the background, Prince Charming.
Yep.
But yeah, like, there's a lot of fun things with that, and he says right off to Only for Dolphins once again. At the end, I'm going to skip to the end of the song, on the outro, you kind of hear those aquatic, oceanic soundings, and then you hear the dolphins making those little echoey sounds. I don't even know the proper term for them, but this whole album, it'll either kind of have that at the beginning or the end, or somewhere in the middle sometimes. Like, it's pretty funny to think, like, the whole song just kind of has that tying it together over and over and over again. But also, he says, "Only for Dolphins, baby, I told you, Bronco, El Blanco," because he calls himself El Blanco too, which is another name, or Bronco, which is another name. But he did have the album White Bronco, which came out 2 years prior to this, and it was on the track Mount Etna. He said, "Next album, Only for Dolphins," and that's how the album kind of like trailed out. So he told us what he was doing, where he was going next.
Yeah.
Right at the very beginning, like at the end of his last one, he told you where he was going next, which is fun too. I don't know what Rambo movie he was in, but I'm gonna guess he wasn't lying, right? Because that line in the very first verse, he says they just cast your boy Baklava in Rambo.
I don't remember when the last Rambo movie came out, so it had to be like,
Well, let's find out.
the late 20-teens, probably. I mean, Stallone's getting up there, so.
Yeah, but I mean, so is Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Yeah, he's gonna die making those movies, man.
Yeah, you're probably right. That'll actually be his final stunt. A quick Google says Action Bronson is not in any Rambo movies. So,
Damn.
yeah, I don't know what this is about. I'll have to figure that one out another time. Yeah, he has a very specific sound too, and he's very nonchalant with his smoking of marijuana. He is like that. Like he does that in the show as well too. Like they'll take smoke breaks, and you'll just see them randomly smoking blunts in the car, and I think that's why it was on FX, is because they can get away with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But one of his lines is smoking green like Nickelodeon, so or smoking green slime like Nickelodeon, which is obviously a reference to the kids show that we used to watch with sliming kids and all the different ways that they slime them in Double Dare and the ad lib games too, and all those other things.
Yeah.
What was the one with the floating head where you had to fill in the blanks?
I know what you're talking. I can't remember the names of most of those shows, but I do recall them.
Yeah, I was about to say whose line is it anyway, because I was watching that earlier today, but that is not it. That is a very different show. I remember it was the host was the swimmer, the Olympian. I think that's what she was. Anyway, Bronson was talking about not slime as actual the slime from Nickelodeon where people got slimed. He was talking about a specific type of marijuana smoking, which he is very liberal with because he doesn't hide from that at all. And then he goes on too with a few other things too. Just oh yeah, another one that makes me chuckle too is my drugs are waiting for me in the mailroom, which is it's just funny to say it too because there's a quote from Mitch Hedberg, which says, I like the FedEx driver because he's a drug dealer and he doesn't even know it.
He doesn't even know it.
Not even a clue. He's dropping stuff off for him in a P.O. box, and that's it. That's all there is to it. But the line right after that goes back to the AEW. He says, power bombing him through the dinner table. It sound like a moose hit in a Winnebago. Yeah, he definitely delivers those funny one-liners, and I definitely appreciate that he always kind of has those fun sounding songs and the fun kind of, there's not necessarily one thing he's talking about in this situation, right? That's kind of evident. He kind of goes all over the place with different stuff, and that's kind of what I meant when I was saying before with he's a little more raw in that sense. A lot of people are used to there being more, I don't know,
refined, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe refined isn't the word, but maybe more rehearsed, I think is.
Yeah, like because this seems a lot more ad lib.
Yeah, just kind of.
Like he has a lot of
cuff
stuff in his head. Yeah, a lot of that stuff feels like it is like he does writing because there's too many things that just make sense, but like he's really good for putting like one or two hooks together and then like circling back to them maybe later on too, and that's just it. Like if you know that's what you're listening to, then you're in for a good time for that. But if you're expecting something different where it's got more of like I almost want to say like a story to it or something, or more of like a general theme,
yeah.
I guess. Anyway, there's not that. So if you were looking for that, which I mean, a lot of what the main stage hip hop is that you get to hear and see, there you go. But I know that there's a lot more of this that exists in the world than the other, and a lot of the time this will make its way into mainstream too. Like we heard it when you listened to Childish Gambino. He threw a couple little one-liners here and there too, where they might not have made complete sense, but he found a way to make them make complete sense.
Yeah. Just a way to always kind of circle back around to like, hey, remember that thing I said before? Here's the payoff.
Yes. Exactly. Like, to go into some more things too that just, the funny lines. Oh yeah, no smoke and mirrors. Like he's not lying about who he is. Safe to say my life's on fleek, no smoke and mirrors. Like he's not trying to pretend he's nothing. He's actually, things are going well. But the line that follows with it was the just model sniffing coke off mirrors. Like it's like, oh man. Like he never stops talking about that kind of life, and I don't know that he ever will stop living that life, because that just kind of seems like that's the Action Bronson persona, and that's him. Like it's not fake. That's who he wants to be, and he is now. Now and forever.
I wonder, and this is like a completely unrelated thought, but I wonder if he's ever worked since he has that culinary background, if he's ever done anything with Maddie Matheson. Maddie Matheson, I don't know if you know who that is.
Nope.
So he's mostly at this point a YouTube cook. He's this big dude all tatted up. And when I mean big, I don't mean he's buff. I mean he's just like a big dude. And he's been working on losing weight and all that, but he's got cookbooks out. He's just a very open, funny, honest dude about everything. And I don't know what he did before he started cooking, but like now he's branching out. He's been in that new FX show, The Bear. He's in it. He has a pretty prominent role as far as I'm aware. I just read an article recently about how he's starting a post-hardcore band, and I was like, wow, good for you, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I look forward to hear what that's going to be. As you were talking, I did a quick little look because I was curious. And there's actually a picture of Action Bronson with Maddie Matheson,
Yeah.
titled Hunk 101 on Instagram. So they definitely know of each other, and they're definitely hanging out together and doing stuff together.
Yeah, just because of like just a little bit of what you told me about Action Bronson, like his personality and what I could hear in just the song alone, I was like, I feel like they would be friends.
Definitely makes sense. Like they definitely seem like they're cut from the same cloth, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're on. I don't think they're on the same episodes here, but there's a playlist that was here too for Action Bronson and Maddie Matheson. But it feels like they're just like clips from Fuck That's Delicious.
Okay.
And then also Maddie Matheson's show, because there's like the first 6 are Action, and the next couple are Maddie Matheson going through, and then yeah. So who knows if they've actually ever made something? It doesn't seem like they've collabed on anything yet. But that doesn't mean it won't happen because they clearly know each other.
Yeah. That could be fun.
I'm trying to see here. There's other stuff too. There's all kinds of different stuff that exists out there with that. This is from 7 years ago, but I don't want to. There's a Viceland interview where Action Bronson talks about him too. So, and that's from 7 years ago. So who knows what that can be even related to at this point.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's something about like, are they going to work together? And he's like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't mention this earlier. My fault. There is no actual video for this song. You can just listen along with us. You don't have to go seek it out later. And then there's also no music video either for that little clip that I think we're going to sneak in here later so you can hear the sample, because it's only a 15-second clip that we need to throw in, so
Yeah.
you'll probably hear it before you hear me say this. But yeah, there's no video for either of those songs featured today. But yeah, I would definitely say that you will get this the same kind of feeling and sound from Action Bronson no matter where you look into his discography. He does have some songs that are a little more well known too, that you might have heard before. He's also got a mixtape that everyone thinks is better than most of the stuff he put out. But he's got songs with Kendrick Lamar where he's on tracks with them. I don't know if they're necessarily like Kendrick's tracks, or he got, I don't know how they always put some of those together. I don't know if they sample them from different places and they just get approvals, or if they just pick random people that they know would sound good together and put them together. But either way, Action's got songs with Chance the Rapper as well, and he does a lot of stuff too with they're like his friends that he walks around with too on Fuck That's Delicious, with Big Body Bess and Mayhem Loren. And also he did a lot of beats before with The Alchemist. So the 4 of them would do a lot of the episodes together. But hearing those guys together too is a lot of fun. Like they're a lot of fun to hear all rap together, because they're all 3 rappers from the same general area. They all grew up together as friends, and they all have their own careers, and they're all like micro famous in their own chasms. Like Mayhem Loren has a sound, and that sound is followed, and he's really big in his sound. And Big Body Bess has his own sound, and like people listen to him specifically for that. And then the same thing with Action too. Like the 3 of them can go sell out a venue together because they're going to want to hear the 3 of them together, and then there's going to be like a third of the crowd for one, a third of the crowd for the other, and a third of the crowd for the third.
Yeah.
Like it really will be that split sometimes with like just, and that's just because of like that's how those that is. But like I can't tell you that I've ever listened to anything that Big Body Bess has ever put out solo, or Mayhem Loren has put out solo, really. But I will listen to any song that has the two or three of them together every single time I see their names, no matter what. um, but yeah, I definitely think that if you're in the mood for that kind of fun sounding, another thing too, somebody mentioned, I read a quote saying that it was luxurious beats. The action like rhymes over luxurious beats. I'm like, that's a good way to put it. 'Cause it has
Yeah.
like that nice like, right?
Yeah. I think that's a very good way to describe it.
Because I mean, that's his sound. Like he does this a lot. Like a lot of his music will have that kind of feel to to their songs too, which is a lot of fun. That's why it's so hard sometimes to pick just one song from somebody, because this is a whole different kind of sound of hip hop. So to try to introduce it like this, like it kind of had some similarities to when we listened to Childish Gambino, because Gambino has a lot of that same thing where not so much in some of the ones that we were listening to that day, but the ones that we were referencing, he does a lot of sampling from that kind of soulish sound
Yeah.
and has like more deep sound underneath it, where Action's finding a sample and elaborating on it. Gambino might have a thought in his head and creates its own sound completely. Um, but yeah, Action Bronson's definitely a uh, a gangster rapper, I guess you could say. I wouldn't say like gangster in the sense of that. Kind of sounds funny saying it, especially the way like gangster. Um, but like he'll talk about those things like that same idea that you're gonna hear a lot of the time that have to do with the drugs and the life of living that way and living that life of luxury too. And he was saying, he was wearing all white standing at the podium. That was another line from the rap today, or the song today. And talking about being on sailboats and driving his Hummer and all that, that I have the money and I live that life, and that's who I am. You know what you're gonna get when you see me. I live my life luxuriously.
That opulent lifestyle.
But yeah, I would definitely say that on this album as well, other notable tracks for only from Dolphins that I had a hard time kind of figuring out what to listen to. Latin Grammys is the third track. That's another really good one. It's a little more comical, especially because like I'm not going to tell anybody about it. I want you to go out and listen to it yourself. But I highly recommend listening to Latin Grammys, especially with an open mind, because you're going to laugh. The second track on the album is C12H16N2. That's another really good one. I highly recommend that one. So the first five, and then Sergio. Like those are the top. Like I love those six out of the whole 12, but I love the whole 12 too, because like if I'm gonna pick three to listen to right now, it's gonna be GoldenEye, Latin Grammys, and Capoeira, the one from today. And then if I had to pick a fourth song, it would be Sergio, and then but Splash is hilarious for number like the set. Like I would listen to those first five, Sergio, and then Splash, and just if you listen to just those 7 songs, you'll have a really good idea of what you would get from anything else from Action Bronson on any other album that I've listened to. Because full disclosure, he does have an album that came out in 2024 that I have not listened to. But I have listened to almost everything else from him. So Mr. Wonderful is definitely a very good album. Dr. Lecter is a little more raw, but also a very good album that came out in 2011. Blue Chips, which is where a lot of people kind of know him from, I would say. That's when he became a little more popular. But Blue Chip 7000 came out in 2017. And then he had White Bronco and Lamb Over Rice years after that. And then took a year off, did Only for Dolphins. Then 2 years later did Coco Drillo Turbo, another great album. And then 2 years later has Johann Sebastian Baklava, The Doctor, which I definitely am planning on listening to soon. I'm going to go through Coco Drillo Turbo and then that one today, honestly. I'm going to queue them up and put them on back to back.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and I recommend the same for anybody else out there to kind of just check out this album first. Check out those 7 songs. If you liked all 7 of those, if you want to take a break, go ahead. But if not, I highly recommend just going right all into it. You know, you can't pick another album from here and be mad about it. That's another one of those for me, anyway.
All killer, no filler.
Honestly, every one of these albums.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's always good when you can find an artist like that, though, you know? When you find an artist and you want to get someone into them, it kind of sucks when you're like, yeah, listen to this one. I wouldn't really recommend this one, but when you can just be like, dude, you could just jump in anywhere. That's a good feeling.
absolutely. I mean, how good is it to really sit there and be like, yeah, I really like this band, but only this album. Like, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I do have bands that exist like that, and I will, whenever we listen to them, like, hey, this is the only album I've ever listened to by them because every other song that I listened to by them did not sound the same at all.
Yeah. I mean, I have.
If you want to know, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I have some bands where, like, I like literally a song by them.
Yeah.
And actually, we haven't gotten there yet, but there is a band that I'm planning on bringing to the table with that, where I'm like, this song, man, is so good, and I'm so disappointed that nothing else sounds like this. We'll get there.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then the band that I was thinking of was, and I mean, so full disclosure, I know they went a little more different sounding afterward, but Bring Me the Horizon. If you ever listen to their first album is very like, it's exactly what you want it to be from that year of hardcore. And then the very next album they put out was like the biggest hard left that I've ever heard in my life. And I don't know if there was ever a conversation about it or a reason as to, like, you know, interviews as to why or them changing, but they went the way of a lot of the hardcore bands where they would go from like that first 3 to 4 like very heavy screaming albums to not so screaming and a little more like heavy rock and a little more clean vocals and then more and more clean vocals, and like it felt like they were okay, everyone's listening to us and likes us, and now we're gonna go completely clean vocals and like all falsettos, and it's like interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I have always had qualms with the notion of people arguing about selling out and all that. Like, bro, if I wrote a song and like Wendy's came to me and was like, hey, we'd like to use your song for an ad. First of all, I love Wendy's, so hell yeah. But second, if it's going to bring me financial stability and it's not a company or group that I think does bad things or anything like that, why would I not accept that? To bring myself comfort and stability in my life. If like a couple people are on the internet, you'd be like, oh, you sold out. I'd be like, hell yeah, I did. You know why? Because it was the right decision for me.
Exactly. Who's to say? They don't know, and there's no wrong reason for that either. Especially because if it's something as harmless as Wendy's, like, come on, man, they don't cut corners on their beef.
Yeah, give me that $5 biggie bag, and I'm happy.
We're definitely not fishing for this, but maybe
yeah,
we kind of are.
We kind of haven't like done that, but on a couple of the old podcasts I did, we definitely fished for sponsors. Nothing ever happened, clearly, as those podcasts are now defunct, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to stop trying.
Absolutely not, because if the right person hears us and they think that we're good and funny enough, and they're like, you know what? Well, yeah, I'm okay with that, because, I mean, to be fair, Wendy's social media presence has been very salty and very aggressive and known to be that way and very, like, backhanded quickly. So, I mean, there's no reason why they wouldn't want to go on and talk about a bunch of, you know, ADD, ADHD-laden fellows that like to talk about random things and get lost along the way. Because, yeah, I mean, why not?
Also, I'd really...
Now I'm mad about it.
Yeah, also, I'd really like a new mattress. So if any of those mattress brands that always sponsor podcasts, Nectar, Helix, Purple, Casper, any of you, get at me. I don't want to pay for one. I know most of you have like a year-long trial. But anyways, this is very off topic.
He's whoring himself out here hard here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just their first trial run at putting ads in a show. That's all that was.
Just, well, one day we'll do an episode where we just name drop products. Like, oh, yes, as I sit here in my secret lab chair drinking a fine Pepsi Cola.
Yeah. We definitely need to have this happen now. I'm definitely down for this. I'll start writing down different things so this way I'm ready for that day.
We'll have to figure out what song to do for that, though. It has to be like a very, popular.
Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, that's not bad either. That's not a bad pull. I was gonna be like,
It's
we would have to do like Sabrina Carpenter or something.
There you go. So, since I said Weird Al, my kid actually had a brief moment where he was low-key obsessed with Weird Al. And anytime we were in the car, he's like, hey, can we put on a Weird Al album? I'm like, sure.
The kids are all right.
So yeah, that definitely happened. And I'm like, man, we need to get back out of this again. Because normally he wants to listen to people like Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he's actually been following a lot of rap lately because we went and saw a movie, Piece by Piece.
Oh.
The Lego movie about Pharrell Williams.
Okay.
Real good movie. Definitely recommend going to watch it. But ever since we went to see it, he's been like hooked on listening to rap, which has been great. But anyway, back on topic. Action Bronson, Capoeira, featuring Young Mexico on that beautiful saxophone solo, because as I've been known to say, and even quoted myself at saying, a song always needs more horns.
Yeah.
Right?
I am firmly in that camp. I believe a saxophone makes everything better.
Speaking of horns, social media.
What? Where's the link? Explain it to me.
Didn't you say smash that horn sometime? Didn't you say that once?
Bell.
Oh, damn. Well, I blew it. But I actually made it anyway, so here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media. Like us, follow us, tell a friend about us. Help us get a little bit bigger than we are. You know, interact with those posts. Tell us what you liked and what you didn't like. I promise you will get a response. At least for now.
Yeah, you may
I
not
shouldn't say that so blatantly.
You also might not like the response, but you'll get one.
Also true. Remember, I did call out Wendy's.
Yes.
And their social media, and I definitely am not afraid to be a little bit aggressive. Playfully, though. Playfully. In good-heartedness. Anywho, yeah. Tell people about us. Share it with a friend. Tell us what your favorite episode has been so far. Tell us if you want us to go a completely different direction.
That's right, because important, long-winded information and ADHD don't mix. But I hope if you've made it to this point, you like what Scoops and I are doing, and hopefully you like it so much you want to shout it from the top of a mountain. But it would be a whole lot more helpful if you told your friends about us instead. Word of mouth or listening with someone is our favorite, but social media is also great, and you can interact with us there too. So please come by our Instagram, Blue Sky, or Facebook, where you can find us as The Feedback, or on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter /X, at @thefeedback_PC to see what's coming next, suggest a song, talk about our latest episode, or just talk about anything.
I agree with all of that. Also, I would like to, as per my custom now, give a shout out to the artist who creates our intro and outro music. Yes, it is the same song. And that song is Egg by the artist Exile. You can find him on YouTube, Spotify, all your music streaming sites. And I'm not sure if he does it with all of his music, but at least for the song that we use, it's free use as long as you give him a shout out, which I am doing right at this very moment. So thanks, Exile.
This shout out right here.
That's the one. And I believe that's it. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to share with the class?
No, just don't forget, guys. Go check out Action Bronson. Go listen to any number of his songs at all. And yeah, share him with a friend too. Don't be so selfish.
Yeah. And go on YouTube and look up Action Bronson AEW. Maybe he actually does powerbomb someone through a table. I don't remember. But he definitely gets involved at some point.
I can imagine it happening.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate you, and come back next time to see what we dig up next. Goodbye.
I have a how to pronounce set up, and I'm listening to it to make sure I pronounce the song correctly.
Oh, okay. Yes, the Brazilian style of fighting. That everyone got super pissed when playing Tekken 3 because that was the Eddie Gordo button mash special.
The capoeira?
Yep.
Capoeira. I've been like blasting it in my ear. Yeah, capoeira. I think I got it. I feel confident.